Rug Delver decks we've seen recently is the 2 Dismembers. A lot of Rug Delver decks will have the extra Chain Lightnings there for removal spells.
Some people like to spice it up with the old Forked Bolt.
Forked Bolt. Yeah.
I prefer to play good Magic cards, but again, anybody's choice what they want to play. I think that Forked Bolt is way too underpowered for Legacy. Come on now. We can start playing Electrolyze too, Riki?
Maybe Electrickery?
No, I don't want to do it.
Maybe Forked Lightning?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know? I didn't know that was a Magic card either.
Is it like a portal card?
It is a portal card. That's very good. Last weekend at the St. Louis Open, a Rug Delver deck list had some number of copies of Forked Lightning listed. And so that was a little odd. The judges looked it up, and it is a portal card, but they're like, this is not a card we expect to see. Did a deck check. Indeed, it was Forked Bolt being played, not Forked Lightning.
No.
Yeah. Forked Lightning is a portal card. It's red and 3 sorcery, as everything is in portal.
That's expensive.
Deal 4 damage as you choose, divided between 1, 2, or 3 target creatures. So it's a little weird. Does not target players, and despite the fact that you're dividing 4 damage, right? Did you catch this?
I did.
Despite the fact that you're dividing 4 damage, you can only choose 3 targets. So it was like, I saw this card, I'm like, it's a real card?
Yeah.
It does that?
I'm not being trolled. You can't go upstairs with lightning? All right, if you say so, Portal. If you say so. That's insane. I could not imagine a card. I guess I can imagine a card like that existing just because it's Portal.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
A few weird things going on in Portal. I couldn't even begin to tell you why it would only deal to 3 targets instead of 4.
Makes absolutely no sense. But
the creature versus player part, like we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Some spells can only target players, some only creatures.
But you can only split it up this lightning.
Yeah.
To the
something has to take 2 damage.
Yeah, you have no choice in the matter. Something is taking 2. So we see Todd Anderson on your left, Andrew Tenjum on your right. Anderson again playing Deathblade, looking to win 2 opens in 3 weeks. Can he do it? He was able to dispatch Bug Walkers last round in a very good 3-game set. He's playing against a very capable player here in Andrew Tenjum, again from Chicago, multiple top 8s for him. Doesn't have as many as Todd, but again, nobody does.
Todd's match against Mike Kletz was very good, 3 games, but it must have been exhausting for him. And that could be a factor here. Andrew Tenjum has been waiting in the wings. He 2-0'd his opponent in the quarterfinals very quickly. Probably had a chance to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, refresh himself. He's had a lot of rest, and in Magic the Gathering, I think rest is much more important than rust. Todd Anderson shuffling up. He's in good spirits. Andrew Tenjum on your right with the Rug Delver deck. Todd Anderson with Deathblade that he has been championing for a couple of months now. Has it been that long? At least a couple of weeks. I think it's been about a month and a half to 2 months.
I mean, he is he had got on board with this deck. You know, he wrote an article about how he was considering playing this or Maverick, as he absolutely loves Maverick. We've also seen Todd play Rug Delver in the past and Charlotte's Bug, but he has gotten on to the Brian Braun-DeWitt's school of thought of playing Esper Deathblade, and really has put his money where his mouth is, because he has already won an Open Series in Baltimore with this deck and is in the top 4 of this one. And this deck has really just been taking Legacy by storm. Again, Lauren Nolan won with this deck, beating Jack Fogel, in the finals as well in a Deathblade mirror. So some of the top players in the Open Series circuit have been playing this deck to just great success. And this seems like the new version of Esper Stoneblade to be playing, or just Tundra decks in general.
Yeah, everyone getting on board the Brian Braun bandwagon here. So, Andrew's got his hand. Todd taking a mulligan.
And what really interests me is, you know, we have seen a drastic step away from Counterbalance and Miracles and all of that good stuff. And this is a deck that really doesn't even play Abrupt Decay. You know, so is it so good that it's able to push that deck out of the format without even playing Abrupt Decay, as Anderson's going to start off here with a Thoughtseize. That's a curious question to me. And as you see, no one playing Miracles anymore. You see a Thoughtseize here for revealing Tenjum's hand of a Delver of Secrets, a Lightning Bolt, a Brainstorm, a Sylvan Library, and 3 lands.
And you saw Andrew point to the Delver of Secrets, basically saying, I know this is the one you want, but it could depend on what's in Todd's hand.
Which Todd's hand looks like it's just lands and Brainstorm right now, which isn't really the worst place to be on a mulligan to 6. You get some information with Thoughtseize, figure out what your opponent's game plan is going to be, and then Brainstorm to try to react to what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but Todd wants some time here, and he does take the Delver of Secrets with Thoughtseize, leaving Andrew Tenjum with the Sylvan Library, Lightning Bolt, and Brainstorm. He's going to pass.
Todd draws Deathrite Shaman. Looks like he's going to lead off with a Brainstorm. Yes, he is. So 1, 2, and 3. So a couple lands and another Brainstorm. So he's got a Deathrite Shaman, a Brainstorm, and lands. Yuck.
Gonna crack that fetch, get rid of those 2 lands, and put a Deathrite Shaman out. Gets a scrub land with the Flooded Strand. So now, here we go. Once again, Deathrite Shaman on the battlefield. Really reaching the point where that card is starting to dominate this Legacy format.
Well, you're not wrong. It says Tenjum is going to sacrifice Scalding Tarn and probably search a Volcanic Island here. You are not wrong, my friend. This card is, it made waves in Modern. It's still going to continue to make waves in Modern in Jund, and it is making huge waves in this format.
So Tenjum looking to stick his Sylvan Library here.
I mean, he might consider just Lightning Bolting this Deathrite Shaman. You know, I can certainly see a rationale I can see a rationale for wanting to get that Sylvan Library online. You're going to see Anderson cast a second Brainstorm of the match. Going to draw 1, 2, and 3 cards, 2 more lands in Abrupt Decay, so his Brainstorms have not been good thus far. I can certainly see a reason to want to establish that Sylvan Library, but he's choosing not to. He's just going to pass the turn and actually playing a fetch land right now, leaving himself open to a Stifle if Tenjum has one, and he has 4 in his deck list. I'm a little bit surprised to not see Todd sacrifice that Polluted Delta right away.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to sacrifice in Tenjum.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, if he has a response, this is a Stifle, I think, my friends.
Todd Anderson sacrificing his fetch land, probably to get the mana for Abrupt Decay. Andrew Tenjum responds with his own fetch land if he's got that Stifle right here. And we did not see it earlier off of the Thoughtseize, but Andrew Tenjum has had several draw steps. Taps the Tropical. Stifle your fetch land, so...
This is a beating for various reasons. Of course, now it's going to make it so that Todd paid a life for nothing, did not get a land, but Todd doesn't get to shuffle from the Brainstorm right away, which means he draws one of those lands that he puts back on top. Now you see him sacrificing right away. He's going to Abrupt Decay that Sylvan Library, but you know, he basically time-walked himself by not sacrificing that Polluted Delta right away. It actually turned on a Stifle that had almost no business doing anything relevant. Let's see
some damage has been done there from that play.
We'll see if he can come back from it or not.
A little bit of tempo and a wasted draw, as you said. Todd was forced to draw one of the lands he put back with Brainstorm when he did not get to shuffle his library with the fetch land.
So Tenjum has a Daze, he has a Brainstorm. Looks like he's going to lead off with a Brainstorm. And he is.
Resolves. What is that? That is a Ponder from Lorwyn.
The Merfolk Ponder.
Merfolk Ponder, yeah. I prefer the core set Ponder with the 3 moons by Dan Scott.
Nice to be actually sacrifice right away so he can clear the top cards of his deck. Right now, oddly enough, Tenjum is just looking for a threat, and he has not found one yet.
Yeah, he would love to find a Tarmogoyf right here. Nimble Mongoose maybe, building up towards Threshold. Yeah, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got Threshold right now, so Nimble Mongoose would not be that bad.
So, time to consult the fishies. Take a look at the top 3. We're really just looking for any threat. I mean, Delver, Nimble Mongoose, Tarmogoyf, any of them pretty good right now. Of course, he doesn't know that Todd has air in his hand with just a bunch of lands, but again, I think any threat that he finds, he just wants to get into play.
Puts him back. Is he going to reshuffle? No, he draws this card. Is it action? Is it a creature?
Alright, he's reaching for mana. Alright, creature it
Delver
is.
of Secrets. And in the other 2 cards you saw off of Ponder was one of them a spell to flip that Delver of Secrets. If it is, Todd Anderson is going to be under the gun here a bit. He taps 2 and plays Dark Confidant.
Alright, so the turn goes back to Tenjum, and yeah, I think this is flipping, and it is, and it's
It's
Dismember.
A removal spell for that Dark Confidant. So now Andrew Tenjum is going to take control of this game. He's got a 3/2 Insectile Aberration, swinging in the skies. Dismember on the Dark Confidant.
It's an expensive way to kill a Dark Confidant, but anything to get that thing off the board is probably worth it.
Todd Anderson needs something here.
Oh, he just draws another land. He's going to pass the turn back, and you see him not play a land, and the reason for that is he's hoping to draw a Brainstorm, so he's got some things to put back. But by not playing a land, you're turning on cards like Spell Pierce and Daze, so it's certainly risky to not play a land there, and he's going to play one now and pass the turn back.
Drawing yet another land, Wasteland, no longer really relevant here. Andrew Tenjum has already established a board presence and can pretty much cast all of his spells. And a 3rd land in a row for Todd Anderson.
Just plays a Wasteland, passes the turn back. Tenjum going to come across for 3 more. Yet again, going to put Anderson down to 3. And he's just going to play a land and pass the turn back.
One more draw step.
Yeah.
Todd Anderson
draws a Stoneforge Mystic. That is not going to do it. And he's going to concede the game. So Andrew Tenjum wins game number 1 with Rug Delver over Todd Anderson and his Esper Deathblade deck, as we are going to bring it back to the booth here very quickly for you guys. Going to give away 6 months of premium for you. Going to ask you the question first, of course, and give it away after the semifinals. But,
trivia
of course,
time.
How to play is on Twitter. Hashtag your answer. The question I'm about to ask you guys with the hashtag of SCG Premium. Again, it is about accuracy, not speed, because we'll be giving it away at the end of the round here in the semifinals. So,
plenty of time.
Our question for you is, at Grand Prix Miami, we have a pretty sweet playmat being made for you guys. I was actually in the home office in Roanoke, Virginia over the past couple of days, and I actually got to see
nice.
the playmat in person and all of the boxes that it's in. And it's on the screen for you guys right now. Now, one of the things I've been doing with this playmat is I've been kind of examining some of the creatures that are in here, like the Kraken hatchling that's in the water, for one thing.
There's some goblins in the foreground playing with a beach ball, snorkeling. The Kraken hatchling, is that the thing on the beach?
No, it's actually in the water, yeah.
Oh, okay.
With the shell, yeah. There's your O4 just kind of swimming around.
There's a crab. Is that Hedron crab?
I hope so. I love Hedron crab. It is Hedron crab because you see the diamond.
The Hedron right in front of the Hedron crab. Okay, so there are a lot of things going on in this playmat. I don't think we have time to point out all of them. I can't really figure out some of them. I would love to take a look at it more closely later when we have some time. But you saw that playmat. You saw in the bottom left corner, the name was blocked out.
Good on you, director. Good on you.
Because I have a feeling that that's what we're asking here.
Oh, you think you know me? You think you know the question I'm going to ask?
Yeah.
All right, I do want to know who the artist is on the playmat. And if you're able to name the artist on the playmat, tweet your answer, hashtag SCG Premium. Again, we will be selecting one winner from the people who do get it correct, and it is about accuracy, not speed, because we'll be giving it away at the end of the semifinals. So please do name the artist of that fantastic playmat that we are giving away at GP Miami. As we move on to the sideboards here of Mr. Tenjum and Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson of the Matrix.
Mr. Anderson.
You and your Deathblade deck, can they defeat Rug Delver? You are disease, Mr. Anderson. That's my best Matrix impersonation.
That's not bad.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think you've got a future. Future in the industry.
Thank you. I just want to be somebody.
You are somebody. Remember? You are Chris Bosh of
Yes.
the Big Three.
I'm a Velociraptor, and I'm currently losing to the San Antonio Spurs. How would I know that?
I didn't tell you that. I did not spoil anything.
Darn
for
you,
you.
Twitter. So, 2 Thought Seizes, 1 Disenchant, 1 Force of Will, 2 Supreme Verdicts, 3 Geist of Saint Trap, 2 Meddling Mage, 1 Detention Sphere, 2 Relic Progenitus, and 1 Notion Thief for Todd Anderson. Any of these cards really stand out to you as cards that are really going to help against the old Rug deck?
Well, against the Rug deck, Supreme Verdict is one that stands out. Can't be countered. Wrath of God. Andrew Tenjum is looking to establish a board presence, possibly with a Nimble Mongoose, which has Shroud, so Todd needs a way to interact with creatures like that. Tarmogoyf could be kind of a problem, so Supreme Verdict. We've seen Todd bring in Geist of Saint Traft in the past, but this is not really the kind of matchup for that. I don't think there's much more. Detention Sphere, I guess, just another removal spell.
Geist is interesting because you talked to Todd about Geist of Saint Traft, and what he has said many times about the card is that he said he wishes he had some main deck. That's how good it is. But I think that Geist of Saint Traft is a classic case of a card that is absolutely fantastic in sideboarded games and probably not the best card to be starting. And I'm interested to see if he's going to board them in here because it does have X-Proof, so it makes it, Tenjum's deck cannot kill it outside of blocking with creatures, and I think Todd can control the creatures of Tenjum, so maybe we'll see him board in, especially because he's going to be on the play. Now we look at Tenjum's side, 3 Submerge, 1 Sulfur Elemental, 2 Rough Tumble, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Ancient Grudge, a Force of Will, a Spell Snare, and 1 Forked Bolt. Again, none of these cards really stand out to me as, haters on Esper Deathblade, but Rough and Tumble, the rough half, of course, is the only important part of that card. It is a Pyroclasm that goes just towards the ground, so it does not hit Insectile Aberration. Tarmogoyf is going to be bigger than it, and Nimble Mongoose is probably going to have 3 toughness. But it kills Deathrite Shaman, kills Stoneforge Mystic, kills Dark Confidant. All of those cards are probably worth killing with Rough Tumble, and heaven forbid you catch 2. The same can be said for Forked Bolt, an additional removal spell that's going to catch those cards as well. So I think we're going to probably see those come in. Probably Spell Snares too, because it looks like it has a lot of targets, against Anderson.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Todd Anderson's deck list here. He's got a Bayou, 1 Bayou, and 1 Tropical Island. So the 3 Submerges in Andrew Tenjum's sideboard probably not coming in. You can't count on Todd Anderson having a force all the time. He may tutor one up with a fetch land to be able to activate Deathrite Shaman, and he does so right here at Tropical Island.
Yeah, right away.
I don't know. Would you bring in the Submerge on the chance that Todd Anderson goes for those forests?
I think a lot has to go right, especially when you look at Anderson's deck list where he doesn't have a lot of green sources, and you, Andrew Tenjum, actually do get to see how many green sources he does have. So by boarding that in, I feel like it's a little bit ambitious for things to go your way with that. And right now, one thing that you do see that's super important, Todd's sacking his fetch land right now, brainstorming right now.
Yeah.
Not letting you daze, not letting you stifle, not letting you spell pierce. One of the most important cards in my deck is basically what he's saying right now.
Doesn't want to walk into another stifle there. Andrew Tenjum gets Delver of Secrets down on the board, and we've got a quick update from the other match. Tom Gensman, the blue, white, red Delver deck, surprisingly, we feel, won game number 1 over lands.
I am a little bit surprised by that. Not terribly surprised, again, because lands can fumble around a little bit, and the blue, white, red Delver deck does have some, reactive cards that are certainly potent in the matchup. But I'm interested to see, what exactly happened in that game 1. But Gensman currently up a game in the lands deck with its back against the wall, as Abrupt Decay is going to take care of that Delver of Secrets.
Okay, so Delver's gone. Andrew Tenjum. What's the follow-up going to be? A second Delver of Secrets. That's not bad.
Not the worst thing I've ever seen. Now, Todd Anderson, again, remember, he won, and Swords of Plowshares is going to take care of this Delver Secrets. He won a Star City Games Invitational playing Rug Delver, so he is very, very familiar with how this deck works. Now he's going to cast a Dark Confidant now into a potential Daze.
Yeah. Well,
But I think,
I
he's okay with doing that. Again, this is a player who actually won a Star City Games Invitational in Atlanta with Rug Delver, so he is very adept with how this deck works, especially because in that Invitational, the top 8 was Legacy. It was not Standard. So he had to get through 3 elimination rounds, best of 5 matches with Rug Delver to be able to get that crown.
Andrew Tenjum has the Lightning Bolt for Dark Confidant, and Todd Anderson just plays his Creeping Tar Pit tapped and passes the turn. So we don't know if he boarded in Geist of St. Trapp, but he certainly does not have one here.
Now Tenjum, you see, just stuck on 2 lands, Misty Rainforest and a Volcanic Island. How does he want to navigate this turn? Because you see his hand, he's got a Ponder, he's got a Brainstorm, he has a Nimble Mongoose, has Spell Pierce as well, and he's going to start by sacrificing Misty Rainforest.
Now why start with the fetch land when he has those filter effects, Brainstorm and Ponder?
That's a good question. I mean, he may be doing that just because he wants to get Nimble Mongoose established and leave up a Spell Pierce, but I'm with you. You know, I want to get maximum value out of my Ponder, my Brainstorm, shuffle those cards away, you know, make it so that my Brainstorms and my Ponders are, you know, the best that they can possibly be.
Okay, so Andrew Tenjum gets the Tropical Island for the green mana for Nimble Mongoose, trying to establish a clock, but he's not particularly close to threshold here.
Yeah, he's a little ways away.
And Todd Anderson could even trade that Creeping Tar Pit. I mean, right now the Nimble Mongoose is only a 1/1. Yeah, you got to read that card.
Yep.
That's a 3/2. So you can't even attack until you get Threshold. Even if you do have Threshold, you're only trading with a Creeping Tar Pit.
Yep.
And you don't want to do that when you have a Shroud creature. So now something's up.
So he's coming in here.
He's got to have a Lightning Bolt. Oh. Well.
It's a Vendilion Click with Karakas up.
Oh, wow. So that's a big problem. Andrew Tenjum attacked with the Nimble Mongoose, telegraphing that he had some kind of removal spell for the Creeping Tar Pit. Todd Anderson had a Vendilion Click instead, and he's got the Karakas back up, so that removal spell is not going to deal with it. And we see an Ancient Grudge brought in from the sideboard to deal with the artifacts. Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, 1 Brainstorm, and 2 Ponders.
He's got to start cantripping here. He needs to start getting through his deck, build some velocity, and really get things established before Todd. Again, Todd is the control deck here. He wants the game to go along. Things favor him if they do. Tenjum is the aggressive deck. He wants to deny Todd's resources and just try to get him dead.
So I'm trying to figure out here that attack by Andrew Tenjum with the Nimble Mongoose. I guess he was closer to threshold than I thought.
Alright, so is he going to start with Ponder or Brainstorm? As Todd lets him take 1. Todd wants to keep Vendilion Click in play, let him use it as a clock, and then keep reusing it. So Ponder is here. Tenjum going to take a look at the top 3.
Looks like there was a Spell Pierce, maybe a Tarmogoyf? Yeah, take another look at your hand. Puts them back. Almost puts them back. Hovering over his deck. There they go. Draws the top 1.
Hey, that's why I don't play Ponder, man. It's too much. There's too many decisions. I can't handle it. Really.
You know what I wouldn't do? Play Ponder and Brainstorm in the same deck, because how many times have you seen players confuse one for the other and mess it up and get game rule violations, possibly other infractions like drawing extra cards?
Yeah.
Those spells are too similar for my taste. Just speaking as if I were playing.
Of course. A Brainstorm here from Anderson, Stoneforge, Mystic Polluted Delta, and a Relic Regenus. Relic a card I had a feeling he was going to bring in. Controls Tarmogoyf and Nimble Mongoose. It's absolutely fantastic against Rug Delver.
Asks how many cards in your graveyard. Tenjum fans him out. Telegraphing that relic a little bit maybe, but it doesn't matter. He's going to cast it immediately.
And Todd knows that Tenjum does have a Ancient Grudge in his hand, but he doesn't even care. You know, and is Tenjum going to fight over this with like a Spell Pierce? I think that's something that Todd is perfectly fine with too. If you want to have that battle, you know, he'll either pay 2 or, yeah, feel free to Spell Pierce this. No big deal to me. Now here's Deathrite Shaman.
Another card that can eat away at Andrew Tenjum's graveyard, keeping the Nimble Mongoose off of Threshold.
Now you see Tenjum taking a look at Todd's graveyard, wants to sync up and make sure that, you know, each of the correct things are in the graveyard, so if favor does draw a Tarmogoyf. Yeah, by him removing that instant, it's not going to hurt him because Todd has a Brainstorm. So checking there is very, very smart.
Yeah, Todd activates the Relic of Progenitus, targeting Tenjum, who chooses to exile Lightning Bolt.
He's going to start his turn off with another Ponder.
Another Ponder. Looking a little bit deeper into his future. This is a very difficult position for Andrew Tenjum. He's got one Nimble Mongoose. He's got another one in hand, but Relic of Progenitus and Deathrite Shaman now, keeping his graveyard in check. He cannot grow those Mongooses to 3/3s. 1/1 Shrouds are not going to get it done here.
He's struggling. I mean, you don't see this a lot from Rogue Delver because it does have so many cantrips, but he's struggling to find his mana. He just found a tropical island, so he can finally hit his 3rd land drop. But you know, this is a deck that wants to cast multiple spells in one turn. That's why it only plays 18 lands, but that's why it's all of its spells are 1 or 2 mana, because it just wants to do a lot of things often and not get flooded out. You see, Tenjum is playing this game where he's trying to be as reactive as possible with these, you know, Spell Pierces and Ancient Grudges and stuff, but by giving Todd all of this time, it really plays into what Todd wants to do.
Yeah, and this game started off Andrew Tenjum playing back-to-back Delver of Secrets on turns 1 and 2. Todd Anderson had the answers. Abrupt Decay for the first one, Swords to Plowshares for the second one, and I think that maybe threw off Andrew Tenjum's game plan. I think certainly he expected the first one to die, maybe did not expect the second one to die, was hoping to establish that Insectile Aberration early with his Ponder or his Brainstorm, and then go to town, but Todd Anderson with 2 removal spells in the early part of the game.
You see Todd's going to take a look at the graveyard here. What you got, Mr. Tenjum? What you got?
Here we go. Todd Anderson has a 3-power flyer of his own, Vendilion Click. And that is a largely irresistible threat in the long term because of Karakas. Vendilion Click is a legendary creature, so at will Todd can pick that back up, defend it from a removal spell, even reuse its come into play trigger again if he so desires. And an Abrupt Decay in hand, so that's going to defend him against Andrew Tenjum's next play, unless it is another Nimble Mongoose.
So you see Todd moving his mana around a little bit. Which way does he want to go here? So I believe he has a Dark Confidant, which he is going to cast. So slowly but surely, Todd is starting to establish a board presence, which is going to become insurmountable for Tenjum. Tenjum is going to cast Spell Snare on that, okay.
Yeah, he's got to.
I'm with you.
Hasn't seen anything else that costs 2, so it's either that or maybe Umezawa's Jite.
Tenjum draws a card for the turn. Looks like it was a Stifle. So that can counter a Karakas activation, can counter a Deathrite Shaman activation, maybe a Relic activation. There's a lot of different things that can do right now.
I don't know if countering a Relic activation or a Deathrite is going to do it. With both of those acting in concert, it's hard for Tenjum to keep his graveyard right now. I'm trying to figure out how he's going to craft a win from this board position. And he's going to probably have to use this Ancient Grudge at some point to get rid of the relic at the very least. And then maybe he can set up a situation where he can kill the Deathrite Shaman. Here we go. Ancient Grudge, targeting Relic of Progenitus. Todd is going to use its second ability and sacrifice it.
So this is where the
and he's
going
to stifle. Okay, that's good.
So the graveyard is actually going to be pretty full here for Tenjum. You're going to see him spread him across.
Does he have Threshold? 1, 2. Okay, so the spell scenario is removed by the Relic of Progenitus ability, I believe, that was still on the stack.
Or I believe it was the Deathrite Shaman ability. Either way, Todd is untapping and moving along here. And again, I do not think the Mongoose is a threshold just yet. But Tenjum has so many cantrips in his hand that he can get there on his next turn.
Yeah, and now that he's gotten that Relic of Progenitus off the board, that's one problem down.
Yeah.
The second problem, Deathrite Shaman, and here comes problem 3 and 4. Todd Anderson decides to get aggressive, and why shouldn't he? Activates Creeping Tar Pit, attacks for 6, and it's going to put Andrew Tenjum at dead on the next attack if Todd does the same thing. So Tenjum brainstorms.
And I love that play of attacking him with the Creeping Tar Pit, puts him at 12, make it 6. Here, Deathrite Shaman's going to take care of that Ancient Grudge, going to put Tenjum down to 4. Todd's shields are currently down. You see his hand of Abrupt Decay and Supreme Verdict, but he's basically saying, all right, Andrew, do your absolute worst. I hope you find your perfect 3 with Brainstorm to get you out of this situation.
You don't need any shields when you're firing this many photon torpedoes as Todd Anderson is.
Yes.
Because he is about to blow Andrew Tenjum out of the galaxy. Misty Rainforest.
Delver's Secrets.
Doesn't fly just yet, so Vendilion Click's gonna come across. Creeping Tar Pit can come across. Deathrite Shaman. Another activation to drain for 2. Let's see what Andrew Tenjum has. He could have, what, another Stifle here for the Tar Pit activation? No, nothing.
All right, so Todd Anderson's going to win game number 2 with Esper Death played over Andrew Tenjum in his Rug Delver deck. So we're moving along to game number 3, my friends. Yes, we are.
And at what point does Todd Anderson start to feel the fatigue of these back-to-back 3-game matches? He went to 3 games against Mike Kletz in the quarterfinals, 3 very long games, beating him 2-1. The Bug Walker's deck of Mike Kletz. They were the last match to finish in the quarterfinals. Andrew Tenjum finished very quickly, either the first or second match to finish. He's been waiting, he's fresh. Todd's been playing, he played 10 rounds of Standard yesterday.
Yep.
9 rounds of Legacy today. And he's going deep. He went deep in the quarterfinals, going deep in the semifinals. You've been in these tournaments before, Cedric.
Yeah.
How do you deal with this fatigue?
I mean, it's really just all a mental thing, honestly. You know, a lot of players handle these situations differently. That's the interesting thing about Magic, where, you know, if I'm in the top 8 of a tournament, I don't really get very tired at all because I just want to win so much, which is a crazy thing to say. But, you know, the fatigue doesn't really affect me at that point. Fatigue actually affects me at the beginning of the day.
Okay,
which is
that's
kind of
interesting.
which is kind of strange because I'm not much of a morning person. So, you know, what ends up happening to me is if I get a couple wins underneath my belt, then I start to wake up and get really focused because I'm already off to a nice start and I want to keep the good start going. And then by, you know, the middle of the tournament or the end of the tournament, that's when I really get going. I actually start off pretty slowly in most cases, where some players, it depends on who they are, kind of die down at the end of the day. So, you know, when I'm in the top 8, that's where I really get focused. And the fatigue doesn't really ever set in. So we'll see how each player handles it differently, which is one of the things that makes competition and sports really interesting.
Yeah, and Todd Anderson certainly has experience going deep into tournaments like this. He's used to the top 8 format. He's used to going, you know, 8, 9, 10 rounds of Swiss and fighting his way through another 3 rounds in the top 8. He's been here before, so he knows how to deal with his own fatigue, perhaps.
Yeah, been here for 4, probably going to be here again, as we have a quick update for you guys in our other match. We were going to try to do a live look-in, but we are unable because Tom Gensman will be moving on to the finals. Bobby Kovacs had a very, very nice tournament with lands, makes it to the top 4, but Gensman and his blue-white-red Delver deck dispatched Kovacs in 2 games, 2-0.
I'm very surprised. We thought that the lands deck had an advantage, but as you said, if the Delver deck could establish an early board position with its creatures and just start attacking very quickly, lands does take some number of turns to get itself set up with that loam engine.
Yeah, and lands is going to spend a lot of time trying to defend itself and get everything set up, but if it can't in time, which it looks like it didn't, then it does have difficulty winning, and Gensman was able to defeat Kovacs not even in 3 games like I thought there might be, but in 2. So Gensman is going to await the winner of our match that's on camera right now between Todd Anderson and Andrew Tenjum. Blue-White-Red Delver's in the finals, and we're going to find out what's on the other side.
Yeah, will we see a Rug semi-mirror in the finals if Andrew Tenjum wins? I mean Rug, I said Rug, I mean Delver mirror. Yeah. Andrew playing the Rug Delver, and Tom Gensman already into the finals playing Blue-White-Red Delver. Or is Todd Anderson going to make it to the finals and try to make it 2 Legacy Opens in 3 weeks, dominating the Legacy scene with this Deathblade deck in recent weeks? Todd Anderson has been. And here we go. Andrew Tenjum looks at his hand. Todd Anderson looks at his hand. Leading off with a Tropical Island. Go. Possibly holding up that Stifle. Todd just has a Creeping Tar Pit. And now Andrew Tenjum with the Delver of Secrets on turn 2. Misty Rainforest to the side. He could still be representing Stifle here. Maybe trying to trap Todd Anderson into sacrificing a fetch land.
Yeah, you can see Tenjum's hand. He does have a Stifle in his hand. I think if you're Todd, you realize that Tenjum does have a Stifle at the ready. That's the thing here with that play, where it's very curious that Tenjum plays a Delver on turn 2. And now Anderson's going to play a Deathrite Shaman on his second turn, make sure he doesn't get dazed, and pass the turn back. So, if you're familiar with Rug Delver, as Anderson is, the versions that do play Stifle do oftentimes make that play of turn 1, play a land, go. Turn 2, play Delver, leave my Stifle up. As Tenjum's going to take a look at the top card of his deck. So he's not an instant or sorcery.
He looks at it with the Delver ability, but he puts it back before his draw step. He has the capability of sacrificing Misty Rainforest before the draw to get rid of that potential blank. And it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's reaching for the fetch land. Did not like what he saw there on top of his library. He's going to go use his fetch land. Andrew Tenjum, you're saying that he telegraphed that Stifle there, and Todd Anderson has played non-fetch lands for his first 2 lands, playing around Stifle.
Yeah, I think that's just a case where you have to understand who you're up against. Again, and it's not that it's not just that Todd is a very good player. That all weighs into it. But you're against a player who actually has experience playing Rug Delver and probably has experience in making that same line of play. So you're not really masking your Stifle. I think you're making your Stifle painfully obvious. And you have to remember one other thing as well, Ricky, is that Stifle is really not that difficult of a card to play around.
No, it's not. Especially a hand like this where Todd, we see he has many, many lands in hand. He's not forced to use a fetch land early in order to make his land drops. And he does play a Marsh Flats there on turn 3, but he's not going to sacrifice it. He's just putting it out there, getting it ready for future use. Oh, did you see that in Todd Anderson's hand?
I think he has a Supreme Verdict.
Supreme Verdict, yeah.
Tenjum is going to play a Nimble Mongoose and pass the turn back.
This is going to be devastating for Andrew Tenjum. He commits a second creature to the board, and it is that Nimble Mongoose. It's got Shroud. Todd Anderson does not have many ways to interact with Nimble Mongoose, but he has one of them in his hand. But Andrew Tenjum, with the untapped Volcanic Island still representing that Stifle, Anderson cracks
this is gonna get
fetch.
stifled. Tenjum, I think, has 2 stifles in his hand. Yep, so he's going to stifle that. So I'm a little bit surprised that Todd played a fetch line there. Again, like, I don't see the reasoning behind playing that when you have multiple lands in your hand. And if you're going to play a fetch now, you have to sack it now. Yeah, so you have to sack it now and make sure you get your land. But by doing this, if he draws a brainstorm, then he's not going to be able to shuffle away. So I don't understand the rationale behind playing fetch lands right now when you have all those other lands in your hand.
Well, how is this for rationale? I'm just theorizing here. I believe the other lands in Todd's hands are underground seas, right?
Yes.
So he needs the 2 white mana for the Supreme Verdict. So he wanted to be able to get the Supreme Verdict, played the fetch land, maybe hoping that Tenjum would tap out on his turn and he would have the opportunity to fetch that second white. So
Tenjum coming across with the Delver and the Nimble Mongoose. They're just making sure that life totals are correct here. You see a couple fetch lands there for Todd, a little bit of damage from those guys, and they're just making sure that they've got everything where it is supposed to be.
And now Todd Anderson was able to get the second white source and Supreme Verdict. There it is.
And this is a situation where you just, even though that's not an Insectile Aberration and a 3/3 Nimble Mongoose, you just take your 2 from where you can get it and you move along with life there. And I like that play a lot.
The potential for either one of those to become 3 power very quickly. And there's no point in just taking 2 a turn.
Yeah.
You know you're going to want to destroy them at some point anyway. It's uncounterable. Just do it at your soonest opportunity.
So Tenjum take care of a Tundra, so only 1 white source here for Todd. Todd draws another fetch land to go along with a couple lands. So he is drawing quite a few lands here, but it looks like he's going to play a Dark Confidant.
Andrew Tenjum with that Wasteland just a bit late to stop the Supreme Verdict.
And Bolt's going to take care of that Dark Confidant.
But that's 3 points of damage that's not going at Todd Anderson's dome, his Mohawked dome. He's still at 14 life. That's a healthy amount of life against a Rug Delver deck that has no creatures on the board.
And all of these things here favor Todd because you see the point and click of the Bolt and the Dark Confidant, which does have to happen. Here's a Misty Rainforest getting sacrificed. But what you see there is, again, Anderson's at 14. Tenjum's hand, he has a lot of reactive spells, and it looks like Anderson's actually firing up a Guitar Pit and getting in here too, so getting a little bit aggressive and daring Tenjum to have another Lightning Bolt. But you see Todd basically forcing him to have answers to things right now, and Tenjum doesn't have any board presence at all right now. Here's Dismember. He's actually going to have to take down 4, but Tenjum doesn't want to be the reactive deck in this matchup. He wants to be the proactive deck in this matchup.
And now with the Dismember, the coast is clear next turn for Todd Anderson to just slam a Batterskull down, hard casting for 5. You don't see that very often in Legacy.
So here is a Brainstorm on the main phase for Tenjum. 3 cards coming. Ancient Grudge in his hand along with a Stifle. He is in search of a threat. And he has found a Delver of Secrets at least.
Todd Anderson with no gas in his hand other than that Batterskull. He has to slam that down here, right?
I mean, you like to think that he does, but you know, he also does know that Tenjum did board in an Ancient Grudge, so you know, he might have a little bit of fear of that, and I think that's part of the reason that you see Todd right now. He has tapped out with this Relic Virginis as well. You know, he's basically saying, you know, you can take care of this if you want to with Ancient Grudge.
Trying to get a read on the Ancient Grudge, yeah. And Andrew Tenjum's gonna bite, so Todd Anderson putting that Relic out there as bait, and now he knows there's an Ancient Grudge. He cannot slam down the Batterskull. He needs to do something about that graveyard. Most likely a Deathrite Shaman at this point.
Tenjum draws a card. It's a Lightning Bolt. There's the Delver that you're going to see in his hand come into play.
The back and forth here. Todd Anderson at 13, Andrew Tenjum at 15.
Sword's going to take care of Delver. So that's going to go bye-bye. And again, you know, you wonder why, you know, why would Todd do this right away? Again, he has no interest in taking any extra points of damage, and Here is Geist of St. Traft, a card that I thought he would sideboard in because it is so difficult for Tenjum to deal with this card if it resolves. It forces them to have a large Tarmogoyf or a Flip Delver or a Threshold and Nimble Mongoose to be able to get this thing off the board. And if he doesn't find an answer right away off of this Ponder, he goes to 9, he goes to 3, he goes to game over.
Wow, Geist of St. Traft all day for Todd Anderson has been fantastic.
Tenjum with the answer in the form of a Tarmogoyf. And we will find out how big that is. We'll get off our Tarmogoyf dice for you guys and get this thing where it's supposed to be so you guys can see at home. And it's a mighty 5/6.
That's big enough.
Yeah, I would agree. So what does Todd draw this turn?
Oh, we see he's still got that batter skull. No, don't put it on there yet. No, put it off to the side. Put it off. Oh, come on.
Todd, it's going to stay like that whether you like it or not. It's for the people at home, Anderson. It just passes the turn back.
Blue card.
I think it's a Vendilion Click.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
Yep, and yeah, you can
on your draw step.
Yeah, it's in your draw step. It's definitely a Vendilion Click now.
Doesn't have the Caracas to defend it this game.
I think Tenjum has a Lightning Bolt too. He has a Lightning Bolt and I think he has a Lightning Bolt and a Stifle in his hand. It's not actually a real decision here for Tenjum if he wants to stifle the trigger and then bolt it, or just bolt it and let the trigger happen. You know, there are some real decisions making. There are some real decisions, to be made here by Andrew Tenjum.
And that Stifle can potentially stop the 4/4 Angel token from Geist of St. Traft for one turn, so that's relevant as well. But he's going to Lightning Bolt the Vendilion Click and then let Todd look at his hand of Stifle and Delver of Secrets. Todd takes a look at Andrew's graveyard just to see what's been cast so far, and maybe trying to calculate what is most likely to be drawn by Andrew Tenjum here if he chooses to put one of these cards on the bottom of his library. Thinks about it.
Decisions. I don't know what I would do in this spot.
Don't you have to get rid of that Delver of Secrets?
I think so. I mean, it makes it so that Tarmogoyf and the guys just keep staring at each other for a little while.
Because if no, he just lets him keep.
No, so he doesn't,
No,
and now he draws into a Ponder. So I mean that's even. I mean, the Ponder could reveal anything, but this is a scary spot to be in again because Rug Delver does not have a lot of lands in it, and you know the hallmark of this deck are the pondering and the brainstorming to be able to find the cards that you actually need. So this is still terrifying.
And let's keep in mind that Andrew Tenjum has that Stifle in his hand. I think that spell is going to be key here. At some point in the match, that Stifle in Andrew Tenjum's hand is going to decide this game. And even though Todd knows that it's there, just the ability to fizzle one triggered ability or activated ability at some point with that Geist of St. Traft on the board. Here you go. Andrew Tenjum's going to race. He attacks with the Tarmogoyf. Sacrifices the fetch land, Misty Rainforest. Going to clear the top 2 cards of his library that he saw and left there with Ponder.
Maybe this is another Tarmogoyf here. Maybe it's a Nimble Mongoose. It's another Tarmogoyf.
2 Tarmogoyfs. And this has been... Well, we don't need... We know that they're both 5/6s. There's no way outside of, other enhancements that they could be different.
Anderson draws a card. All right, Brainstorm is a pretty good start. So,
gonna look at 3 cards. Has a Polluted Delta available.
And okay. All right. Relic of Progenitus, Swords of Plowshares are the cards, and Relic is insane right now because this clears out the graveyards, makes the Tarmogoyfs 0/1s, and gets rid of the Ancient Grudge, and he doesn't have Stifle available. Yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
I give that like a 9 out of 10 as far as brainstorms are concerned.
Cedric's excited. I'm shocked. I mean, I just told you about a minute ago that I thought Stifle was going to decide this match. Andrew Tenjum put his shield down to play a second Tarmogoyf, and if he had left it up, he could have had that Stifle available to counter the Relic of Progenics ability, but instead Todd Anderson has a clear path to exile both graveyards. He attacks with the Geist of St. Trav. Angel hits. This match is completely turned on that one Brainstorm, and Andrew Tenjum not leaving that Stifle up.
And now Todd draws Stoneforge Mystic, so now he's going to be able to search. Oh my goodness, the way this game has changed is insane. Now he gets to search for either Batterskull or Umazawa's Jite. Batterskull reigns supreme against Rug Delver when it comes into play. What an insane brainstorm.
Where did that Stoneforge come from?
He drew that off of Relic Progenitus, the cantrip.
Oh my goodness. I didn't see it off the Brainstorm, and I was like, well, goodness gracious.
And now Tenjum just draws his card and passes back. Now again, he does have that Stifle in his hand, but
too little, too late.
It may be too little, too late now. He never got a good use out of that. What an unbelievable series of events here in this Game 3.
Todd Anderson still has a Swords to Plowshares in his hand that he got off of that Brainstorm. He's got that Batterskull in hand that he fetched with the Stoneforge Mystic. He started to tap 2 mana, untaps them.
Now he's got to be careful with this, and the reason for that, Riki, is because again he knows that Tenjum has a Stifle in his hand. So if he plays Batterskull, Tenjum can Stifle a Living Weapon trigger. What that's going to do is make the Tarmogoyfs into 1/2s, and I think Todd wants to keep these Tarmogoyfs as small as humanly possible for as long as he possibly can. So if he Wastelands something, it makes him a 1/2. If he Swords one, it makes him a 1/2, because while one creature's gone, Swords is in the graveyard. So he wants to make sure that he gets this play right.
So he attacks first, not giving Andrew Tenjum an opportunity to get something in the graveyard, except for possibly the Stifle on the Angel trigger.
And he can Stifle this trigger too to make Tarmogoyfs a 1/2, so he's going to do that.
He does do that, saves himself the 4 damage from the 4/4 Angel, and now he has 2 1/2 Tarmogoyfs available. Todd Anderson Swords to Plowshares one of them.
They're both gonna die.
Exiles the Tarmogoyf. The other one dies in combat because the Tarmogoyf was exiled and did not go to the graveyard. And Todd Anderson, he set that up. He knew that that Stifle was there. He knew that if he attacked, he would force Andrew Tenjum to Stifle that trigger and lure a double block with Tarmogoyfs.
Unreal. Unreal.
We've gone from a position where Andrew Tenjum had 2 5/6 Tarmogoyfs facing off against the lone Geist of St. Trav, and in one Brainstorm, the world has changed.
Now he's going to Stifle a Living Weapon trigger, so no Batterskull token, but all that Todd needs to do is he can just suit it up. He can suit up the Geist.
2, 3, 4, 5.
And this isn't the first time that we've seen him do this in the top 8, suit up the Geist of St. Trav. And there is the hand. Todd Anderson with a big pat on the back from Brad Nelson is moving on to the finals.
Wow.
He's pumped up. I'm pumped up. He's going to the finals.
Andrew Tenjum, I don't think